What is the business environment? It's all the factors that affect the company's operations, both internal and external factors. Internal factors are all the factors that happen internally in an organization. Things like laws that have to be complied with, supplier agreements, commitments, customer needs, competition, all those types of things that happen internally within the organization. External factors are all the factors that happen around the organization, and we talk about this as the pest factors: political, economical, socio, and technological factors. If the economy changes, if petrol prices go up, how does that affect an organization? If there's political tenseness, changes of government, all sorts of things like that, that becomes attention for organizations. Technological advances, new things that come into the market, so society, how society lives, how they work, how they breathe, all those sort of factors are then the external factors that affect an organization. The business environment is divided into two environments, macro and the micro environment. Just like we saw earlier, the internal, external factors. The internal factors are what's inside the micro environment, and the external factors is what's inside the macro environment. The macro business environment deals with the external factors relating to business, and the micro environment, the actual business operations. This environment is further divided up into three different sectors. Now, the primary sector is involved in the exploiting of natural resources in raw or unprocessed form. This is industry like mining, agriculture, forestry, etc. Then we get the secondary sector, which is involved in the processing and converting of the resources into the final product. Production companies like Sappi, they produce paper from the wood which is produced and manufactured by a forestry organization. Then we get the tertiary sector, which is the sector responsible for conveying the final products. Wholesale stationery companies buy paper from Sappi to sell to the consumer, and maybe even organizations like yourself that take that final product and then produce it or sell it to someone else. Now, this entire cycle, from the raw materials, so the plastics, the reeds, the chemicals, wood, whatever the case may be, to the manufacturer, and the manufacturer sells it to a company, every time the product is produced or changed in some sort of way or resold, it gains value, and this is known as the value chain. The micro-business environments are the business market that brings buyers and sellers together. So a seller has a product or a service, and he then finds buyers to buy his service or product, thus bringing the two together. Now we know that the business market is in between the macro environment and the micro environment. Now the business market components is made up of the buyer and the seller meeting. So it has the following components: the price, which is the price of the product or service. The advertising is the method by which the seller promotes the product or service to the customer. Hence we have price, business, market, and advertising. Now, if you remember in cluster 1, we took a look at the profit of an organization, and we also looked at how we get to that profit from the cost price of the actual item to be manufactured plus the markup. Now, if we take a look at the price of the product, it has to be determined by a market share. All right, so when we're creating a market share, we need to look at three different elements. So it's determined by the supply, which is the number of goods or services that sellers are prepared to sell at a price. Then we look at the demand, which is the number of goods or services that a buyer is prepared to pay for those specific goods. And then we need to go and have a look at our competition. which is the price other alike companies are selling the same or similar products and or services for. So there's those three components that will determine our price of our product. When we look at the target market of goods and or services, this would be the potential amount of buyers wanting that specific good and or service. The target market is determined by the total number of buyers who are interested in the product minus the buyers who will buy from the competitors. For instance, the marketing of bulk cleaning products is targeted at cleaning companies that would purchase cleaning products in bulk or at wholesale. The product, the price of the product, the distribution of the product, and the promotion of the product is known as the marketing mix. Distribution is knowing how to get the product to the customer. This could be direct sales using sales reps and advertising, then promoting the product by highlighting why the product may be of good use to the customer. So if we sell the goods to the target market, we distribute it through promotion, we price it right, and we have that product, we can then call it the market mix. The purpose of marketing is to inform customers about the product or service, persuade the customer to purchase it, remind to increase loyalty of customers who have purchased before. Marketing can be done through a variety of ways. Firstly, advertising, newspapers, magazines, radio, flyers, etc., and sales promotions, handouts, free gifts, discount prices, etc., publicity, press releases, sponsors, editorials in the newspaper, and personal selling, one-on-one communication to convince the customer to buy. We have a process in marketing. It starts with identifying the target market, then developing the correct mix, and then offering the product to the target market. Market either accepts or rejects the offer. A product is something that can be felt and touched. So you can physically feel it in your hands, you can see it, and then you can make a decision whether you want to buy it or not, if it's obviously at the right price. A service, on the other hand, relies on integrity and trust conditions that are agreed upon during a consultation. Both can be measured by criteria that has been established during the negotiation phase of the purchase. Marketing services is difficult as it is intangible, it cannot be felt and touched, and to gain the trust of customers that you've never provided a service for is not an easy task. To determine the amount of market share that your organization has in the market, we'll take a look at an example, a retail store that sells cleaning materials against another retail competitor which sells exactly the same items. So let's say retail store 1 sells 1,500 gloves a month, and that equals to 7,500 Rand. Then we get retail store 2, which sells 500 gloves, that equals to 3,500 Rand. That means that retail store 1 has 75% of the market share and retail store 2 has 35% of the market share, because the total of the gloves together is 2,000 gloves. And if we take the total of those gloves that were sold as 10,000 Rand, and we take the amount of gloves sold divided by the amount of gloves your company sold multiplied by 100 to give us the percentage market share. The sales revenue will be expressed in values. For instance, if the total amount of gloves is equal to 10,000 Rand, your sales will be 7,500, which is the total sales value of the market, and that equals 75%. Generally, organizations will use what we call a SWOT analysis. Now, a SWOT analysis is a strategic tool that is used for a variety of planning strategies. In this case, we could use a SWOT analysis to determine our market share and or plan marketing strategies by analyzing our competitors. If we take a look at the example, when we do a SWOT analysis, it means the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of a particular product or whatever you are doing the analysis on. So if we take a look at the strengths of a product, that we can say the product sells well, it's the length of the product on the market, it's been on the market for a long time. The weaknesses is it's an expensive product. Our threats are that there are cheaper places to buy the product, and our opportunities are the product brand name is very fashionable. People like it. So you do a SWOT analysis to be able to identify the various areas of whatever it is you need to strategize on. Professional bodies are industry-related bodies that provide a platform for business in that specific industry. They regulate the conduct of the organization and service delivered to the customers. Monthly meetings are usually held with the bodies to gather information on business transactions. We can take a look at the banking industry, for instance, the Banking Association of South Africa. All banks have to comply, obviously, with the association's legal compliances. Then we have the HPCSA, which is the health services, as well as the Society for Radiographs of South Africa. So all radiologists will then belong to the Radiograph Society, and then they will give a service in accordance with what that body says. Then we look at education. We've got SAQA, which is the South African Qualifications Authority, and then we have the Mining Qualifications Authority, which is the MQA. Furthermore, you get the SETA, the Services SETA, which is the Sector for Education and Training in Services, and a variety of others, mining industry, personnel practices, telecommunications. All those different bodies govern the way in which industries in that related area actually operate. The benefits of professional bodies is to improve company image and status, to meet people from alike industries during workshops. This collaboration and joint ventures are formed between companies. They also ensure professional images are upheld and standard service delivery to customers in the industry. And that's a wrap for topic 4 about the business environment. I'm sure you've enjoyed it and got a lot of informative information about your organization. Remember, you're a very small part. You're going to be one person providing that service in that specific part. But that one service is a part of the entire whole. Make sure that it's a good service. Let's take a look at the main ideas. The business environment consists of both macro and micro environments. The economical environment has primary, secondary, and tertiary sectors. The product, price, distribution, and promotion of a product or service is called the marketing mix. Market share is determined by the total amount of goods sold in the industry divided by the number of alike goods sold by the organization. SWOT analysis is important to ensure the entire market is analyzed sufficiently. Belonging to professional bodies is important in that it enhances image and status of the organization, as well as controlling efficient customer service within that industry.